to another edition of the new Jack Swing podcast with Sheldon, Stevie, and myself, Navdi. Welcome, everyone. How are you guys doing, Stevie and Sheldon?
Good
Doing well.
evening. Yes, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching around the world. Good evening, guys.
Yeah. Good evening. Well, Sheldon, Stevie, Sheldon has mentioned in the US their clocks have come forward by an hour.
So we're 5 hours.
Yes. So,
5 hours in front of.
well, we are. I think because it's probably 4 o'clock in the U. Is it 4 o'clock in the US in the East Coast, Sheldon?
They went up.
Or 3?
5 o'clock. It went up. The time went up.
Oh, it's 5 o'clock. So that means I've got to. Oh my goodness! A lot of my stuff has been based on. A lot of my stuff and interviews for next week have been based on 5 p.m. So it means I'm gonna have to adjust myself. Wow. Okay, that's went up. So I need to adjust that. Okay. Well, people coming in, and as they do come in, today is our hello old school flavor. We missed you last week. Oh yeah, yes. Last week we had the viewers coming on, and we were surprised how few took up the offer to come on. And there were some great ones that did come on. And Mark, how you doing? A few of them. We had a few surprises who came on, but a lot of them didn't want to come on, so it was disappointing. Well, hopefully next time we're going to have it again. We'll get more of you guys coming on. Yes. So we're doing Michael Jackson, Heavy D top 10. But before that, Sheldon, any music news this week?
The new edition residency has been going pretty well. So they're looking at possibly trying to maybe extend it. Babyface is next up. He's got isolated dates that's coming up, and then as a result of the success of the Beyonce Texas Hold'em record, Raphael Sadiq has signed with a new management company because I think he produced the records. So those are pretty much the main things that's going on with the artists that are kind of like in our contemporary era.
Okay. I don't know about you, Stevie. I've seen some clips of the New Edition residency, and I feel underwhelmed. I think they did better when they did the arena stuff. I don't think the Vegas stuff fits them as it probably.
When you mention Las Vegas, I just get this word comes to my head. Cabaret. Is it very cabaret, the performance? Or is that very...
Yeah, I mean the stage is small, and it feels as if they're doing stuff that we've already seen. It feels as if they're doing their old routine. So that is why, they're great. People are loving it. I think people love, and I'm sure they enjoy the fact that they don't have to travel. But it just doesn't it feels like, it doesn't inspire anything because they're not doing anything different. So, with Usher, I think like he switched it up and he did different things. He used his whole catalog, but I think New Edition is just doing the same thing that we've seen. So, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. I've been underwhelmed by it. But and it's good for the guys. But I don't think Vegas is as. It's probably easier to do a Vegas show, get the same kind of money, and not have to travel, than to just go around the city. That seems like a lot more work. But anyway, and Mike, features. I don't know if features are going to count. I don't know if Steve and Sheldon are going to have features in your
out this one. The reason why I'm mentioning this reissue, 30th anniversary reissue of Naughty by Nature's 1993, the one with Hip Hop Array on. They've included some remaster and some remixes, about 4 or 5 remixes. And there's a track featuring Heavy D, and that's why I wanted to mention it this evening. There's a track on it featuring the man Heavy D. So if you didn't get this the first time round, Tommy Boy Records are doing all their reissues. Good time to grab it now. Get yourself a nice remaster. Thank you very much. Hip Hop Parade!
Any other music news, Stevie?
There probably is, but off the top of my head, I can't remember now.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I went charity shopping yesterday. I usually go in charity thrift stores looking for music, and I found this Mantronic CD, and I thought I've never seen that cover before. Ultra Hits.
Is that Bryce Wilson?
Yeah, and basically it's a reissue, or not a reissue. It's the album We've Got to Have Your Love on with a different cover that came out in the Netherlands in around the early 2000s. So they took the 1990 album. I'm not sure if it's been remastered, but just spruced it up with a different cover. But I found that in the first charity shop that I went in for 49 pence, and I thought it's going to be a good day today, a good start when I found that. So yeah, I was very happy to find that. 49 pence.
Okay. 49 pence. That's less than $1, guys. It's probably like 80 cents. Okay. Yeah, 80 cents. Okay. Yeah. So my thing is more so the if you guys can next week, Thursday, Jimmy Love Jenkins, the former heavy promoting VP at Uptown, is coming back live with Jeff Red and and producer George Pearson. So that should be live next week Thursday. Timings might change due to the daylight savings. But anyway, we are going straight into our Heavy D and the Boyz top 10. And it's very fitting since we had Eddie F last week. Hi, Timbits. But I have no idea what's going to be on our list, and I suspect that our list will be very different. I don't think there'll be a definitive number one from all three of us. I think it'll be very.
I think this could be the first. I suppose to say seven. I think this could be the first one we've all got the same number one, but we'll see.
Yeah, very much doubt it. I very much doubt it. But okay, so we're just going to do our top 10 now. As I said, some people might put in a feature because M Mac was asking, "Are you going to have features in this?" Some people might decide to do the full track. I'm going to save my features to my honorable mentions.
Do you guys remember where you were or what you were doing when you first heard of his passing? Was it 2011? Was it November?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember what you was doing and how you heard of that shock news?
Yeah, I remember it was strange, man. To see it happen. Obviously, I probably was at the computer or something or whatever, but it was just strange for him, as far as him passing away and how he died, and he was so young, and it was just like the first of a trio, because he died, and then it was like Whitney Houston died right behind him, and then somebody else passed away. But it was very, very strange, man. Very strange, very tragic.
Yeah, and he just came back from a Michael Jackson tribute show
in Wales.
Yeah. So we're still definitely mourning Michael, and then he passes away. Yeah. So
I was on my way to do a radio show.
Yeah.
I think it was on a Tuesday evening. I was just gutted, just absolutely gutted. Just died so young, Died so young.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And you know what? I would say that he was probably my favorite MC.
Still
just his all roundness and stuff.
Much,
Yeah, definitely. But anyway, we'll try and celebrate, and this is the biggest thing about what we're doing here, is really celebrating Heavy D and the Boyz. If any of you guys haven't listened to the sort of interview with Eddie F, there was so much he said. I mean, why he didn't produce as much of the albums of and he had the whole Untouchable clique, and he was part of that, but he produced very little. There's a lot of insight there. So, but anyway, we're going to go to our top 10. Anyone wants to volunteer to start? So I don't mind.
I'll start.
Sheldon start. Yeah, Sheldon.
Okay, go ahead, start. Sheldon.
My number 10 is the first of 4 loose remakes that Heavy D would do. A lot of people don't realize a lot of records that he made. Some of the popular records, just some records in general that he made, were like loose remakes of existing records. You know, and he would use the titles of those same records. So it was just a testament to his ability, his writing ability, and his ability to update songs, even if the songs were like simple, but they were like, like loose remakes of the original. That my 10 is I Want Your Love. This is Heavy D doing this song that's in the vein of the sample based hip hop soul that's kind of at its zenith that Puffy is doing. Even though Heavy had been doing previous records in that same vein. I Want Your Love is my
Of what album was that?
that album is called off of the 1997 album Waterbed Have.
Is that Waterbed Have? Okay.
So on Big
Was
Bub,
that the one with Teddy and Big Bub?
Big Bub is singing on the hook.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. He had a version with Queen Latifah as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I did. I mean, I got the album, but I was not really a big fan of the album. Okay, but it's a good one. Stevie.
I went for a non-album track. I was searching around, going, why can't I find this track on a couple of albums I was looking for? Then I realised they didn't actually put it on an album. I was going to say, do any of the viewers remember this? But you must remember it. I'll send it out to the Wolverhampton jump up crew who like to jump up to the hip hop around 92, 93 in Wolverhampton. I do remember. It's a track called You Can't See What I Can See. You can see.
Was that a Blue Funk?
It was a totally dope production.
How that came off?
That was on Blue Funk.
No, it was a
That was on Blue Funk.
It wasn't on Blue Funk. It was a B-side of Don't Curse. It was on a B-side of Don't Curse, and there was a compilation out in the UK, a Jeep Beat compilation. They put it on that compilation as well, but it wasn't on any of his albums. The video's on YouTube. It's a very, very strong hip-hop track. Very strong.
I remember.
See.
You're right. The video it came out in between.
Yeah.
Blue Funk.
It had Flavor Flav in the video.
Yeah, that video.
I think it was left on Peaceful Journey. It should have been on the Peaceful Journey album.
The video dropped. Right, like it's in '92. I remember. Yeah.
So that's my number 10. Strong start for me. No messing tonight, guys. Strong start.
Okay. Yeah. My number 10 was from his very first album, Living Large, and I think I wore that CD out because, as I mentioned, I was a massive Teddy fan, and anything he did, I did. And actually, this was one of my favorite tracks on that album, and it was called "Dedicated."
Wow.
The whole Teddy with the boom, 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 boom. And it was that old school stuff, but I just loved the whole vibe with it. I think that was Albie Shaw singing the hook. Singing the hook at the back. It was just
a Houdini feel to it. I thought Houdini, very
yeah, boom, 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 boom. I just used to love those records when Teddy's voice was very pronounced in there. But yeah, that was my first one, Dedicated. Co-produced by Eddie F. Listening to Eddie talking about how he just made beats, and then Teddy was a producer, and he was sort of dragged in to learn how to produce from that. It's just really interesting. So that was my number 10. Sheldon, what makes you number 9?
On number 9 is the Heavy D collaboration with Janet Jackson. All Right. At that point in time, when that record comes out, Heavy D is, he's almost arguably like at his peak, and it just shows off his fluidness in his delivery, just being able to kind of write to any song, any musical format. Very fluid. And of course, you know, we're just talking specifically about the music, but it was definitely highlighted by his performance in the video. But his hit, whether he was doing a record on his own or whether he was, you know, a guest, it was just ear candy, man. He just flowed very well, very fluid, just very melodic delivery. So number 9 is all right. His performance.
I think you cheated there, Sheldon.
I'm sorry.
You cheated there, Sheldon.
Why am I cheating?
Because it's a Janet Jackson track featuring Heavy D.
But it's featured on the track. Featured on the track.
I'm only pulling you.
But he's got. I mean, he's got 5 albums. I couldn't imagine using one. I can imagine me using. You know. I could. Yeah. But yeah, it's and actually, I'll be honest. It was one of his best features. He really made that track. Actually, for Jenna, he was really good in it. The way he delivered his rhymes and he danced and the whole thing. So that was a massive feature for him. But yeah, okay, Stevie, what's your number 9?
I've gone this time to his first album,
Nothing. Yeah.
Which I had a look at. I didn't realize how much Teddy Riley had quite a big involvement in this album. I'll be honest.
Yeah, the whole album.
It's my least played out of all of them, which I don't know why. But I've gone for I went for Dedicated, number 9. For number 10, number 9. After I remembered about that non-album track, You Can't. But it was initially at number 10. But I had to sneak that. I had to get that You Can't See What I Can See in there. But that's the track that I play most from this album. Is Dedicated.
Yeah, me too.
It's an early swing flavour with I'll Be Sure on it. You got Teddy, you got Eddie F, and you got I'll Be Sure, and it's quite an unsung track, really. Think about it, because mainly it's Money, Mount Vernon, and Mr. Big stuff that gets talked about off this, and Chunky Buck Funky as well, that gets talked about. But Dedicated,
Yeah, I love the Dedicated, and also like Don't You Know, because that was his version of LL Cool J's I Need a Girl, I Need Love, I Need Love. Yeah, so it's a good album. I actually used to play it a lot. My number 9 is of his most successful album, which was Nothing But Love, and it's Got Me Waiting.
Yeah.
I just loved the album it was a massive one, but I just loved the vibe that he just slowed it down. It felt as if they really got into the 90s vibe with just the right vibe with that album. So Got Me Waiting was who produced that one? That was produced by Heavy. I think he got his production stuff on. Strangely enough, Eddie F didn't produce one track off that album. Really strange, you know. But yeah, so that was so Got Me Waiting is my number 9. I hate it, don't you know? That's fucking with that. Jim Beats. Okay. Sheldon, hope you haven't frozen yet.
My number 8 is Nothing But Love. You know.
Okay. Sheldon, are you okay? Your 2,000 pound. He said, "Could I ask him how come he's not on his laptop?" He says, "Hey, he didn't want to mess around with the Wi-Fi. His battery's died." He said, "I've got a $2,000 phone. I might as well use it." I think he needs to receive for that.
He's back.
Oh, there you are.
I got somebody tried to call me. Somebody tried to call me. Yeah. So
it's probably Devante Swing.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So, so
that's a running joke, and it's a long running joke.
Yeah. But Number Love, I love that because he's writing in that vein. You know, he's like, you know, all the records of, you know, the female records and the concept of the record, even though he's, you know, like LL Cool J, they use that similar formula. It never gets old, it never gets tired, it never gets worn out. So I just love the fact that he, you know, it's a song. He's basically serenading a female, you know, talking about her likes and different types of things compared to who he is, and just very clever, type of delivery, you know, just great. And the verses of each record is just real, they're really, really strong, and they set
Mhm.
the hook up very well. So Nothing But Love is my number 8.
Sheldon, I don't know how you feel about this album, because like you say, it's got a lot of big samples on it, and there's a lot of core. But do you think that formula, because he had a good run, Heavy D, do you think that formula maybe run its course after this album? By then, some of his rapping on this, it sounds a bit like he's just going through the motions, like he's done this so many times before.
And to answer your question, when you start looking at rappers, man, because remember his first album comes out in '86, so we're talking about 8 years. So it's kind of the same when you look at a lot of rap artists, man. When they put album after album after album, unlike singing, there's always a different approach or whatever. When you're rhyming, man, sometimes the energy is changing, and then you don't have, and then he's older, so you know you don't have that youthful energy in your voice. You know, so it becomes almost like you have a technique, and then you're using the technique, and you're kind of locking. It's almost like somebody who's a good soccer player, right? Is that when they're younger, like, okay, let's use a David Beckham. David Beckham was great when he was young, but then as he got older, he was still good, but now you're just relying on your fundamentals at this point, like anybody else, like an athlete. You know,
Yeah, but what you guys are missing is, if you listen to my interview with G Wiz before they came out with the album, he told Heavy that he can't go on. That Trouble T Roy death really affected them.
Yeah.
And they didn't talk about it. So G Wiz said when they're putting the album, he says, "This is my last thing, guys. I'm out." So they knew when they were recording it that this was the end. So in a way, Heavy, and I'm sure Eddie F by this time had said, now we know that he was leaving Uptown because he didn't get the Jodeci stuff. So Heavy D produced the whole album mainly by himself. So the other guys were just there for the ride. So it felt like we did this together. Now it's just me. So and then he kind of said, this is the end. And he went in a different direction with after that. So I think when you listen to all these things, you realize that there was a lot going on with them, dynamic, and it probably affected how they put the stuff.
I mean,
together.
I do like this album, but like I said, I do feel it's like it's just going through the motions in it. I think the production, the samples carried it really. You know what I mean?
You know what it is, like I said, in terms of, and it's a testament that after 8 years, you know, to put out that high quality of work, because it turns out that's his biggest selling album. You know, and they're very, very great songs on there. And I think it's just like in the vein of the style that's out. Because remember, at the same time, it's kind of like I won't say it's at the forefront, because you start seeing that type of style coming out more between 95 and 97. But I think that, you know, he's probably, you know, at that point, like Anandi said, a lot of stuff going on. And of course, it impacts the mentality going into recording the record. But I think 8 years in, compared to a lot of people, 8 years after their first record, it's still a pretty good record.
It's a really good run.
Yeah,
like you said, 86, 87, right up to 94 before. And then he didn't come out for about another 3 years, did he?
You're right. He came out.
Yeah, that's when he did Waterbud.
Yeah.
My number 8, I think we were on number 8, is We've Got Our Own Thing. And,
wow,
you know, and I'm sure people would try to have it number 8. I think it is number 8. I mean, Heavy's my favorite. I have all his albums.
Listen, what's going on here? Number 8? What's going on?
We've got a I think it was good.
Teddy's biggest fan. It reminds biggest fan. It's got a number 8. Teddy's biggest fan.
It actually reminds me of I Want Her. You know, the kind of stuff where you hear it so often, and it's like I can listen to it, like, but it's but it's not my favorite. But I give it its respect, and we'll get to it. But so that's We Got Our Own Thing is my number 8.
Yeah,
that's really shocked.
That song, believe it or not, was it was always an issue with tracks that Teddy would make, and certain tracks Teddy would be making for his brothers. And We Got Our Own Thing was one of those songs. It was supposed to be made for Rex and Effect, and he let Teddy, Teddy let him get it.
Yeah, but you know what Eddie said was Teddy was supposed to produce the whole album, but then Gene came in, and so it just because their relationship was so strong, he gave them this track, and then Eddie was left to have to do most of the other one. He didn't have to know how to step up. Now he did an amazing job, but can you imagine Teddy was supposed to do most of his stuff, but yeah. But anyway, yeah. So that's my number 8. Sheldon, what goes to number 7 for you?
Am I not gonna have my number 8?
Oh, I think okay. Okay, yeah. Go ahead then. I think I jumped in a little too early there.
So I've gone for the album you don't kind of like, Namdi. I'm finding out now. I've gone to is it 1993? This?
Yeah.
No, 1992. MTA Uptown. Right. Blue Funk, the album that kind of changed. It did change, and I felt it was the right reaction. He was reacting the way hip hop was going on the East Coast with productions from Pete Rock, DJ Premier, Tony Dolfat, that murky, jump up, beat sound. I think he got it spot on in this. I think it's a very underrated album. I think if you've not played this album a while, forget I never liked the reggae. I know he was into reggae. I wasn't a fan of his reggae.
Yeah, he's Jamaican, yeah.
I'll be honest. But if you like that East Coast hip hop sound with jazz funk samples, digging really deep in the jazz funk samples, this is the album for you. But I went for the title cut, Blue Funk, produced by Pete Rock. Very low slung, funky hip hop. This really strong for me, number 8.
So I would say that the track that I really loved on that album is "Talk Is Cheap."
Good track, solid.
Love that. I really love that track, and I love the "Who's on the Microphone." It wasn't as good as say "Don't Curse," but I think I just love the whole vibe. But "Talk Is Cheap," really love that one. But I think for me, as a massive Heavy fan, it took me left field, and hearing Eddie F was like, and the record, and Jimmy says, yeah, no one wanted the album, no one really appreciated the album, and they didn't really promote it. That's why I only went gold, because it's like, yeah, Heavy, this is not what your fans
listen to it, in my opinion, because there's some strong stuff.
Yeah. But it was a strong album, but it's not a Heavy album, and the radio wasn't really playing it, and videos weren't playing it because it just wasn't what we expected from Heavy. That's why it didn't sell as better, sell as well.
We've got to think what is Heavy D? Is he a pop rapper in the vein of MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice? Is he a hip hop rapper, say in the vein of some of your bigger hip hop artists, or is he in between? What he seemed to fill that. He could go either way, couldn't he, and still maintain respect. And he was a sellout, but he still had hits.
On Uptown, he was supposed to be a New Jack rapper that was commercial, safe. You can, he doesn't curse, and he's happy-go-lucky. That as a label, that's what you're selling. That's what you get with Heavy. When he went to Blue Funk, check it. Is it parental advisory?
No, there is a lot of cursory words in there.
Yeah, so it was totally off field, and so it's like people didn't know how to receive it. As I said, looking back, I can appreciate the album. I said I like some good tracks. I liked it, but I struggled with it. Like, this is not Heavy. This is not what I'm used to.
I think for New Jack fans, the track that would have kept the New Jack was probably Truthful, because it had Terry Robinson singing in the background, and I think people bought the single for the remixes of that, but the rest of the album really is for your serious hip hoppers. They would have been very happy with it,
Yeah. Okay, Sheldon, your number 7.
My number 7 is "Got Me Waiting," and dope record. And one of the things is that I remember when that song came out, and it was a really big deal. The video was a big deal because it was a departure from what he had done before, and the people were excited about the record because he used the Luther Vandross sample, Don't You Know That? And that was really, really dope. And it was kind of in the vein when you saw the video, you know, it was kind of like pulling a lot of the 70s energy and the whole nine. It was really, really, it was a smooth record. And again, the record itself just, he's not singing, but it just shows off how good he is as a songwriter, being able to write to like emotions. You know, obviously it's about a female, you know, in an encounter with a female, but just to write in that vein, it's just his songwriting ability is just so great, man. So that's my number 7. It was a down tempo record. It wasn't the up tempo dance record, but again, rap music and R&B music were headed in that vein. It was kind of more of a down tempo style, so it fit was going right with what was going on at the time. But just the songwriting was so stellar to me.
That was a good track. That it was a solid track.
Yeah. What about you, Steve? What's your number
7 is my first entry from his second album. They all got great covers as well. All the covers of these albums were always I really enjoyed the covers as well. Girls, They Love Me. Girls, They Love the bass. I don't know who mastered the bass on that, but the bass pumps out through your headphone. Brilliant, serious bass on that track. Girls, They Love Me. I just thought it was a fun track, but heavy bass. Yeah, I played it a lot from this album. That's number 7 for me. The remix was slightly, the drums were different in the remix. It's a good remix, but it's the album version for the pumping bass line for me on that serious bass.
Okay. So my number 7 comes from my favorite Heavy D album, and it's Peaceful Journey of Love. That's my favorite Heavy D album, and it is a surprise to everyone. Sister Sister. I just love the whole story. I love that. That's one of my first CDs I managed to buy. Was
can you remember who's on backing vocals?
I thought it was KC, but I'm not sure who it is.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Chris Lighty and the other guy,
Darren.
Yeah.
Yeah, his brother, and then Eric Williams. Yeah. No, I just love. Oh, the Flex. Yeah. Okay, Darren. Okay, on Sister Sister, and then Love Is Go to Need. Okay.
Marty Marr produced that. Did he do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense because that's why they'll be there. But I just loved. I love. Yeah. Check out an interview I have with Darren Lighty. I should ask him about that. But yes, I just love the story, and I love the album. I probably could have had the whole
album cover.
Yeah, but you know what Eddie said? He says if you look for our album covers, you know, that when they lost Troy, you can see them sort of their face together, and it was all in blue when they did the Blue Funk, and it's heavy. So it was just, you know, what these guys went through, and they, you know, Troy dies, and they had to continue the concert, their tour, because they were going to get sued, so they couldn't mourn. I mean, today that's impossible, but back then they just couldn't. They had to. It was heavy, but yeah, I just love that album.
Yeah, Chuck, when Troy got killed, Chuck said that he was in the hospital. When Troy was in the hospital, and he was there in the hospital when when news came out that he wasn't going to live, and he saw them. He said that's when he saw them go from boys to men right before his eyes. It was like that death really took a toll and it really impacted them. So yeah.
And Eddie said that Troy was Heavy's best friend. So that's his closest friend. So that would hit and for G Wiz was they were together, as dancers, but that was Heavy's best friend. So I think G and Heavy really felt it more so. And but you talk about mental health, we talk about compassion. back then they were commodities. They couldn't grieve and mourn or anything like that. It just had to go on. So anyway, yeah, but I just love that album and Sister Sister. So Sheldon, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is It Good to You? Dope record. Again, man, the songwriting is, the music is always great, but I kind of
number 6.
Yes, number 6 for me. Because I go off. I mean, the music is always dope with these records, but I try to separate the producer from the record and focus on the artist in terms of the songwriting. And just another one, man, just him writing it's like a love song, man. When I was going through his catalog, I mean, in terms of when you look at the production and everything else, it's a record that that could have been rated higher. You look in terms of one of his most successful records, one of his most well-loved records. I think in that tone it would be rated higher. But just but still, it's a dope record, man. I mean, it just short of my top 5, man. But Is It Good to You? Great, man.
Yeah. The people think Tammy's solo version was better.
So what number did you have? We got our own thing at Namdi.
We got our own thing. It was number 8.
So we got a yellow card straight away for you. Yellow card. I'm giving Sheldon a yellow card. Yellow card for putting Is It Good to You at number 6. You both on yellow cards, guys. But if you're not in the UK and you don't understand football, if you get 2 yellow cards, you get sent off the pitch. You're both on a yellow card for these guys.
So what about you? What's your number 6?
Card, you're straight off for a terrible decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are agreeing that Tammy's version with Teddy was much better. Even though the Heavy's version was the first one, and then they went and did the they went to the Tammy's one. But it's just, I don't know. I think I don't know. I mean, what's your number? What's yours, Stevie? Maybe
I'm warming up. My top 10's warming up here before we get.
Okay.
We're just warming up. But number 6, I'm going back to the Blue Funk album. He uses a Neville Brothers sample. Time keeps on ticking, ticking. I've gone for Who's the Man? I've gone for that big single from this album. Again, I just thought it was a really strong single. And it stayed, I think production-wise, it stayed the test of time for me. You put your needle on that 12-inch, and that still pumps out your speakers, that. Who's the man? Da, 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 da. Time keeps on. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Warming
That was
up,
not too
warming
bad.
up my big top 5, guys.
Jim Beatty's asked, was Tammy on the original hook? Yeah, so yes, she was on the original version. I asked her why she wasn't on the video, and she says, well, that's industry politics for you. But because of the success of that, the label, when the filmmakers were asking, they said, hey, Teddy, why don't you just remake that track with Tammy? And she just wrote the lyrics for the what was on the Juice soundtrack. But yeah, so that so she sang both versions. Okay, that's a strong. Strangely enough, my number 6 is Sheldon's number 6. You.
Oh my God! What is going on tonight?
I think.
I'm giving you another warning here. I've got to give
Because
you another warning here. I'm giving you another yellow card and sending you off, lad.
I think because the same way you said about I wanna, because it was such a big track and it's played so much, or even for me, like Nothing But what's the one with Terrence and Just Got Paid. I think I've heard it so often that it's still loved it when it first came out, but because it's just been played, it's lost its magic. So right now, if I'm thinking about what I'd like, some of the tracks I really like are songs I listen to and I really enjoy, but I don't hear it too often. So yeah, my number 6 is It Good to You.
The Tammy Lucas version won too many times, and the Heavy D version actually sounds fresher to me because I don't listen to it as much.
Yeah.
But
No, I think I prefer Tammy's one, especially because they have the different remixes and stuff. Although at the time it was, as I said, it's still my favorite album. But I think, if the other songs stronger for me on that album. That's my number 6. Sheldon, what goes to number 5?
My number 5 is going to be "I Need Somebody to Love You for Me."
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
obviously, I'll Be Sure was on the hook, but just again, his circular songwriting and talks about trying to find a girl, man, and just in terms of just his writing ability, man. I mean, I keep going over and over with that, but you know, it's just, and then of course, each verse really stands out. It sets the hook up, and then of course, I love the keyboard solo. Who's playing the keyboard? Is that
Neville Hodge.
Neville Hodge?
I'm shaking
Neville
my head
Hodge.
here. I'm getting his red card out for you, Sheldon. Somebody for me at number 5. At number get the red card. Get him off. Get him off the pitch, guys. Get him off the pitch, lads.
Just a dope record, man. You know, yeah.
Yeah, actually, that was a massive song internationally, especially in Nigeria. That was a massive song. But yeah, I'm surprised it's number 5. But yeah, okay. Still Stevie, then you've gone back to Blue Funk for your number
I've gone
5.
to Peaceful Journey. I've gone for Sister Sister at number 5.
Okay.
You know, I just thought it was a strong, underrated swing beat record. Sister Sister.
Yeah.
And you know, it was
the way I want,
positive
way I
message for
feel
the
about you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, even Jim Beats there's put his red card in there. He's got his red card.
Yeah, my number 5 is I Got Nothing But Love for You, Baby. Man, the coming away from Blue Funk, where a lot of us were like, you know, some of the hardcore fans were disappointed with Blue Funk. I mean, I bought the album, but I was disappointed. And he comes out with Nothing But Love, and it feels the vibe. That video was the excitement. It felt like he'd come up. New pack, yeah. Somebody for me was big in Lagos back in the day, but that Nothing But Love. It just the energy. It was heavy rotation of BET. It just felt the party vibe. I think it had Chris Rock in it, Chris Tucker. They had the slides. It was just a beautiful video. The whole thing. It was a big album, big track. Really did well, and I think he went back to his, you know, to what people knew him for, being a happy, upbeat, let's vibe and stuff. And that I really love that. Did he say? He said Eddie F said it was. Red was it? He said, "Was it Red? Who did he say produced it?" I thought he said it was Kid Capri. Or did he say Kid Capri or Number Love? Let me quickly see who produced that track. Dave Lowe. I don't know who the hell Dave Lowe is. No, okay, I'm not sure who produced it, but. Yeah, but that was definitely my biggest track on that album. Yeah, okay. But Sheldon, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is the Overweight Lovers in the House.
Wow.
That was probably my first. Well, I won't say about first or second introduction to Heavy D, man, and I loved it. With the James Brown Pastor P sample on it, I just loved it, man. And just, you know, that album was kind of unique because and obviously the whole Living Large and the Chunky, but you know, it was the references to his weight. And it's almost a continuation of like the Fat Boys albums, because the Fat Boys albums had songs that kind of like played off the whole weight thing. But Overweight Lover, funky record. Very charismatic, very cocky delivery. You know, really, if I had to name just a record that is that I listen to for my Heavy D over and over again, would be that record.
Okay. Just to clarify, so Kid Capri co-produced that with Heavy D. So that was what Eddie F was saying, a Kid Capri. So I just checked out. It is Kid Capri that co-produced that with Heavy D, Number Love. So Sheldon had Overt Lovers in the house. Okay, and I think that was the whole vibe, Overweight Lover. Okay,
David, by the way, David Love is Kid Capri's real name. That's his real name.
Yeah. So he's the one. Yeah, because Eddie F did mention Kid Capri, but I was thinking, was he regular? So it was Kid Capri that produced it. So I've just double checked it here. Okay. What about you, Stevie? What is your number?
Number 4
Where we at
is
now?
the title cut, and I was just checking the credits. The title cut from the album Peaceful Journey. It was about, what was it, about nearly 6 minutes long, this record. Big Jackson sampling, and I think you got one of the
Yeah, Heartbreak
yeah, and
Hotel.
I also think you got one of the best vocal performances near the end, because they let KC sing the ad libs and wail away. I just thought superb record. You know, what a great title cut that was. You always think, what's the title cut of an album going to sound like, and is it strong enough to represent the album? And that definitely did for me. Really, very, very strong track. Could have been higher. Number 4, you know, it's in my top 5, it's in my top 4. So no red or yellow cards for me today, guys. None of that nonsense.
Well, my number 4 is Black Coffee, no sugar, no cream. That's the way.
Yeah, I
just
thought
love
his
the
raps
whole.
in that were a bit lazy. His lyrics were a bit nursery rhyme in that. I thought it had a strong hook, but that's just my opinion anyway.
Well, I love the production. I love the. He'd come back to dancing, as I mentioned. The whole Number Love album was pretty much back to a celebration of what we missed from him. But loved the video, loved the whole thing. So that was my number 4. Really loved that one, and I can still vibe to it now as well. So that was my number 4. What about yourself, Sheldon? Your number 3.
My number 3 is a record that is basically another loose. It's based off of, it's a remake of a record that came out like in 1976 by this disco band called CJ and Company. And CJ and Company used to had a couple records that were really hot, breakbeat staples that a lot of DJs use. And this particular record was a disco record by that group. And the name of that song by the group CJ and Company, the song that they made was called "We Got Our Own Thing." So when you listen to the intro of the Heavy D, the Teddy Riley production of "We Got Our Own Thing," when you hear the synth bass, that is taken directly. It's replayed from the original. So the bass that I'm talking about, you all know, doom, 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 doom. That comes from the original record, "We Got Our Own Thing." For me, that's a really dope record because when you listen to it, it's a departure from what Heavy D had did on the Living Large record, because now you're starting to see rap music now have more of it's New Jack Swing, but the tempo of the record is one of the earliest records kind of that's changing the tempo of rap music, because before that everything was kind of like stiff and rigid with the drum beats. But when you start hearing records like "We Got Our Own Thing," "It Takes Two," "I Get the Job Done," those type of stuff, those tempos of those records, that "We Got Our Own Thing" is like one of the earliest records that comes out of that, even though you've got some of the Eric B and Rakim records that are coming right before it. But when you're seeing what Heavy D's doing now, it starts to become commonplace where a lot of other rappers are using that same type of cadence with the records. But again, just Heavy D being able to write around an original record and just, it's a club record, man. So that's my top 3.
That was one of his, possibly his best rap flow as well, in terms of tight and lyric. That's why I can't understand why it's at number 8, Namdi, for you, but it's in your top 10.
It's the whole package.
At least it's in your top 10, but
yes, it's in my top 10. What's your number 3 then?
My number 3 is "Is It Good to You?"
Okay, that we're kind of high up the
But like you
list.
say,
Okay.
I've heard the Tammy Lucas too many times. Like you say, the magic, the sheen of hearing that has kind of left me. But when I listen to this now and I watch the video, that magic's still there with "Is It Good to You" for me, and it should be. You know, I think it's the top three. It's an exceptionally strong single, exceptionally strong. You know, Teddy's production,
Yeah.
Tammy's vocal, and in his rapping, and nice video. So, yeah, and they were able to milk that, and like you say, release it again with Tammy on her
Yeah.
own. So,
Yeah.
number three, quite easy
Without
number three
Tammy.
for me. You know,
Okay.
very easy number three.
Okay. My number three is somebody for me.
At number three.
It's I really loved the when he came out. This is Eddie that said that he said he had no problem having Teddy's track be the first one out. That he was just he didn't expect it to be this big. This was his first gig producing, and but I felt that this was a bigger pop record. It was just why I prefer it to Nothing. We Got Our Own Thing. It just felt more accessible for me, because I'm more of a. It was just felt more fun. The video was very bright. It was massive in Nigeria at the time as a kid, and with Alba Shaw in there. And the whole dancing. G Wiz says he hated the video. He says he prefers We Got Our Own Thing, performance-wise. But for me, So I think someone for me was more of a bigger track. Who knows? Most people preferred We Got Our Own Thing as a New Jack, sort of stalwart. But somebody for me was my number three.
Again, I'm thinking of getting that yellow card out my pocket. Second yellow for your ear, Namby. I'm number three. Second yellow. What do you reckon? Second yellow is number three for We Got a.
So I knew today's episode.
I've already said them all.
I knew that
you're on a big warning now. You're on a big warning now, Namby.
I knew that we'll all be very different today. But Sheldon, what's your number two?
My number two record is one of Heavy D's most strongest songs lyrically in terms of content. It's produced by Eddie F. And of course, Casey and JoJo are singing the hook in this Peaceful Journey. And the reason why I love the record so much is that with each verse is very unique. Because, obviously this album is impacted because of Trouble T. Roy's passing. But each verse is very strong. Because in the first verse, he talks about the concept of friendship. And obviously the first verse, you can tell that he's referring and he's talking to Trouble T. Roy. But then the second verse, now he talks about a young lady, a young girl, and she's dealing with being out in the street and a lot of just getting caught up in the street life, and her parents are not there, and she's just out there, struggling and all of that. You talk about teenage, young girls running away from home, and kids are doing drugs and all of that. So the lyrical concept is there, and then the third verse is just most powerful because he's now talking about friends that he's known, inspired by, that they're in prison. Talking to the warden, and he's trying to get his, pleading for the warden to go ahead and give his friend a pass to release him from jail. So it's well-rounded lyrically in terms of the concept. Very, very strong. Just the whole concept of friendship, social commentary. That's one of his strongest records lyrically for me.
Epic track in Sheldon. It really is.
Yeah.
It's on a journey as you're listening as well. You're really going on a journey with the record.
Yeah.
He has a lyric. He says, "In life we lose, get bumped and bruised. The road you choose, not necessarily a cruise. You giggle for joy, shed a tear for pain. There's a lot to lose and a lot to gain." And when you look in terms of like a lot of rappers, sometimes people talk about lyrical in terms of being super complex, but he's able to take simple concepts and just straightforward delivery, man. It's very impactful, very moving, you know. So that's
Yeah, definitely a good track. Stevie, what makes your
I was something
yeah, who's
me
number
two,
two?
me one could be number one, but I went with We Got Our Own Thing. It's a classic number. It's at number two. The big number two is it is for me. It is a classic. I'm tired of hearing it. I still like to hear it certain times. You know, there's times when I don't want to hear that with a bunch of other records, but but when I do hear it, I'm like, God, it's such a strong track. You know, his
Yeah.
delivery and his Teddy's production, and you know, anyone's just into rap in general or music in general will appreciate that. Not just the new Jack track, but just as a rap track on its own. So it's number two. Yeah, number two for me.
Phil says she's never listened to Peaceful Journey.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, good. Yeah, but she'll listen to it when
Fair
she
enough.
gets off after she finishes this. My
In for
number
a treat.
two. My number two is the same Peaceful
Wow.
Journey. Casey and JoJo. Um, I think the backdrop of Nona Troy had passed, and you're on my mind, and I wish you a peaceful brother. I hope you hear me. And as I said, that was the first time we heard about from Jodeci or Casey and JoJo. Well, not maybe they weren't Father MC's another thing, but the way they delivered the hook on that, the emotional toll on that, the whole album, and yeah, So it felt like, and now knowing that Troy was Heavy's best friend, and trying to balance a sort of a song for mourning, but also a song that could help other people. Powerful track, yeah. So that was my favorite album. A Peaceful Journey is
I
my
thought that'd
favorite
have been your
Heavy
number one.
album.
Actually, I'm dreading your.
No, my number one is definitely a track that from the first time I've heard it, I've just really always really respected. So, yeah. But I love that Peaceful Journey. I wish I could have even had, but we've got honorary mentions coming up later. But yes, Sheldon, do you want to go down from your honorable mentions and then you do your top 10?
Yeah, my honorable mentions are variety. It's a mix. It's a mix between a lot of the up tempo and then some of the traditional hip hop, more rugged, and then a couple curves I throw in. So one I have is Yes Yes Y'all. That was from the Blue Funk album. Again, Heavy D was even though he has the melodic, really dance oriented stuff, he loved harder edge rap music. And this particular record, Yes Yes Y'all, features a piano sample by it was associated with Gangstar. It was called 92 Interlude. Teddy Riley, as a matter of fact, replayed it for on the first Black album. It's a piano riff. What's the record, Stevie, that Teddy Riley did with the piano? Physical thing.
All
Physical
right,
thing.
yeah.
Physical thing.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
I know it's.
And it originally came from an interlude from DJ Premier on the Gangstar album, and Heavy D went to DJ Premier to try to get him to use it, and so Premier consented. Other joints I have is the Teddy Riley produced "This Is Your Night" off the Nothing But Love album, which is a kind of interpolation of the George Benson "Give Me the Night," Teddy Riley's hook to the George Benson joint. I love the Tony Dofat "Take Your Time" with the drum beat, using the Patrice Rushen sample. I forget the name of the sample. I think it's like Reminisce or something like that. You remind me. So that Tony Dofat samples that. Mixed Mr. Big Stuff. Obviously, I love that. That's once again Heavy D doing a rendition of an original R&B record. Who's the Man? Love that. The Truthful record, very fly record, very slick record with Terry and Monica on it. I love the concept of Don't Curse. I love because he's always around, kind of slick.
Because he's always around. I like
Yeah,
I want to get down because he's always around.
yeah, yeah. Money on the Mount Vernon
These are the records
was
I
really,
expect in your top 10, Sheldon, being a more of a hip hop fan.
yeah.
Surprised that you not made
These
it.
are dope records. And then I'm gonna throw a curve out. Heavy D was obviously a big reggae guy, and he did an album probably back in like 2008 called Vibes. It was all reggae, and he had a song on there called Queen Majesty, which is a remake by reggae legend Dennis Brown. That was a remake of a Curtis Mayfield record called The Minstrel and the Queen. Dope record. And then another honorable mention is Heavy D's Love Opus album. You know, a lot of great songs that are actually on that. That's the last album he did. It came out a couple weeks before he died. So all of those are like my honorable mentions of songs that come to mind. And my top 10 is I Want Your Love. Number 9 is All Right. 8 is Nothing But Love. 7 is Got Me Waiting. 6 is It Good to You. 5 is Somebody for Me. 4 is The Overweight Lovers in the House. 3 is We Got Our Own Thing. 2 is Peaceful Journey. Okay. And then my number 1, and it's probably a record that you all have never heard before.
Here we go.
But all-time favorite Heavy D record, because it's when you talk about songs that he wrote when he was inspired by what happened with Trouble T-Roy, this particular song is kind of in the vein. And the song samples Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, the guitar riff. And Chico DeBarge is singing on the hook. And the song is called Ask Heaven. And I really strongly, you guys, listen to this record, because he talks about the first verse, about how his family came from Jamaica and how hard they work to give his family a life. But then in the next 2 verses, he talks about how he lost his brothers, because his brothers were drug addicts. His brothers were addicted to heroin, and they were addicted to crack. So he tells the story, the second verse, where he admired his brother. His brother had been to prison, and his mother called him on the phone and said, "Hey, you need to come and check on your brother." So he went to see his brother, and his brother had died of a drug overdose. You know, he could from smoking crack, and then his other brother died of a heroin overdose. So he tells these stories, and these stories are very chilling. And you know, so to me, it's my all-time favorite Heavy D song, because it's a departure from everything that he wrote. It's probably his most personal record. Again, the record's taken from the 1998-99 album called Heavy. His last gold album is called Ask Heaven. Chico DeBarge is on the hook. When you listen to it, you can see how moving the record is. So that's my number 1.
So this might be look Sheldon's charts, because you always get something like this that'll now make you go back and and check it out. But yeah, I bought that album, didn't play it much, but I'm gonna go back and check that out, Sheldon, before I even comment. So yeah,
The rest of the album kind of was like the last 2 albums, Waterbed Heaven and Heavy. It kind of like he was just like going through the motions, but also
do you think they were contract fillers?
Do
you think they were mainly contract fillers? Do you think? Or?
Right. That, and then also too, he was a record executive by this time. He was running Uptown, so now you're trying to kind of just wear both hats or whatever. So it could be a contract fulfillment, and it kind of was like he just was kind of like, I won't say he was going through the motions, but it didn't have, in terms of songs, they were mostly like freestyle, like loose records or whatever. But in terms of the songwriting, that song is the album centerpiece. I don't play the album much. I have it, but Ask Heaven is a powerful record. I go back and listen to it.
Okay, well, I'll definitely do that. Stevie, what about your honorable mentions and your top 10?
Big honorable mentions. Do you remember when we used to have like posse rap cuts back then, where you get like a bunch of rappers on a track? Don't Curse was. I just thought they're all rapping and they're all at the same time trying not to curse. I thought it was a fun, I just thought it was a brilliant concept, but it had. I'm just looking at the rappers on it. Big Daddy Kane.
Pete Rock was on
Big
it.
Daddy Kane, yeah, Cool
Big
Chick
Daddy.
Rap, Ram
Cool Chick
Pooba,
Rap.
CL Smooth, Q-Tip was on it. Just, you know.
Because my mum had said so.
Also got me
Yeah.
waiting, the original, and there was a remix by Alton Wookie Stewart. Again, 6 minutes long. It was like a Quiet Storm mix featuring Silk.
Oh, is that what featured Silk? Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was okay.
Yeah, I
It
love
wasn't-
that.
yeah,
I absolutely
okay.
love that. Nothing But Love didn't make my top 10, but I love that track. Truthful again from Blue Funk. And I did put Black Coffee in my honourable mentions because I just thought it was a strong hook. But from number 10 down to number 2, number 10, You Can't See What I Can See, the non-album track. Dedicated from the first album. Blue Funk, the title cut at number 8. Girls They Love Me from his second album. Who's the Man from from the Blue Funk album. Number 5, Sister Sister. Number 4, Peaceful Journey. Number 3, Is It Good to You? Number 2, We Got Our Own Thing. And I'm thinking, well, what's at number 1 then? If I'm going to have a big track at number 1, what couple of big tracks are left? And I've left out one humongous track that was probably his Vanilla Ice MC Hammer moment, but that didn't make my top 10, didn't even get me honourable mentions. But I'll tell you something about this number 1 track is once you've got the lately bass playing, ding, 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 you've got this big bass because boom, like that. You're in a club when you're in it, it goes ding, 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 somebody, ding, 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 boom, and this bass drum drops in. It had to be somebody for me at number 1. It had to be. That's my all-time favourite heavy track. I just, you know, as a swing beat New Jack record, I've grew up with that. I love the 12-inch with the mixes on, and you played the instrumental of that on the 12, the Uptown 12, and then. But I've heard it in a club. I know what it sounds like in a club. And like you say, when that bass drum, the whole club shakes. So yeah,
I know what you're gonna say. Because I mentioned, but go ahead. I know what you're gonna say.
But I think,
Yeah.
Anyway, Namdi, I think I know you're number 1 now. But carry on.
No, I'll be honest. That's somebody for me. Anyone that's when he came out, anyone else in Nigeria would know that was that, and that was a massive track in parties that you're going for. But some of my honorable mentions. Now That We Found Love was his big sort of stuff. I wish they had said Heavy D and the Boyz featuring Guy. It probably would have made it a bigger track. You know, it would have been good for Aaron to really get the notoriety. Don't Curse, love that. From Blue Funk, actually, I love Sexy. Love Sexy. So there was some good vibes with that. And Sex With You. So some honorable mentions. This Is Your Night, which was okay with Teddy, but I think the magic was not there. You know, it was like his complimentary Heavy D track, but I wish it put some more into it. Talk Is Cheap. You know, I mentioned that. Love Talk Is Cheap. And Don't Curse. We've mentioned that already. Who's on the Microphone? I love that sort of. As I said, it was a little bit harder, but I love that. Some of the other ones that we didn't really mention was some of the stuff he did with Guy. What was that one? Do Me Right. You know, Who's on the Microphone? Do Me Right. I loved his rap on My Love, the remix. So who was it? Who was it? I think it was Mucho who's mentioned that Mary didn't come to Virginia, but Heavy came down to Virginia to record the rap for My Love. But yeah, so and then
now that we found love is in your honourable mentions.
Honourable mentions, yeah. So,
oh, thank God for that! Thank God for that. I thought it was number 1.
No.
Oh no, he's gonna put it number 1.
Yeah. Just cooling, you know, that with Levert, you know, Heavy's rap in there. Ooh. I actually thought it was, that was that was as Heavy doing his stuff, and I don't think anyone would put Jam down because I think he was just, you know, it just felt like okay, Heavy's there, but he just didn't really feel it. Just But so we go for our top 10. So my number 10 was Dedicated from his Living Large album. Got Me Waiting from his Nothing But Love album. We Got Our Own Thing from his Big Time album. Sister Sister from his Peaceful Journey album. Is It Good to You from Peaceful Journey album. Number Love from the Number Love album. And number 3 was, 4 was Black Coffee from his Number Love album. Number 3 was Somebody For Me from his Big Time album. Number 2, Peaceful Journey from the Peaceful Journey album. And my number 1 track, which was produced by DJ Eddie F. And it's from the first time I heard this track, I can still remember hearing it when I was in high school. And I've always just really admired the James Brown beat, so sample. And it's just been one of the tracks that if I hear it, it just, I just love the flow, I just love the whole vibe of it. And I didn't realize Eddie F produced it until he said it. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Wow.
I just
wow.
love that.
Surprise.
I've loved that beat, that tracks from the day first.
Yeah, that's a dope record because he's playing underneath. You hear the James Brown thing.
Yeah. Tick tock flowing 3 in a row.
Yeah,
sit back, relax, and listen to me flowing.
Go back, because the melody comes from Grover Washington, Mr. Magic.
Ah, yeah. Hey, good. You're doing some good train spotting tonight, Sheldon. Train spotting. Matt.
Dope record. Yes.
Yeah, I've always loved the track, and if I play it right now, it's just going to be, and I think I've used it so many times. Just loved it, the way he flows over it, and it just, simple and straight and stuff. Yeah, so that's been my, when I think of all heavy stuff, I'll just, and I mentioned Peaceful Journey is my favorite album. But that track of Big Time, definitely loved it. And Eddie says he produced it, and I was like, "What? I didn't realize he produced it and stuff." So yeah,
I think Namdi's nicked it there tonight. He's not giving that tonight. I think he's nicked it. He's nicked it there. Sheldon's come with a real curveball. I've gone with a real big obvious hitter, and you've come with an album track that is very, very solid and made us real. Oh yeah, you've come with a good left hook there now. You've been against the ropes most of the fight, and then boom, you just come in with this left hook and you've shook us all up, Nandi. Oh yeah.
But Josh my album
the other night, by the way.
Yeah, well done to Anthony. But album-wise, I can start with you, Sheldon, before Stevie. What would be your favorite album from Heavy D and the Boyz, or Heavy D?
My favorite album, probably, even though I don't play it that much, I believe Peaceful Journey is probably my favorite. When I think about it, it's almost like a tie between Nothing But Love and Peaceful Journey, but I think I give Peaceful Journey the edge because of the diversity and the songwriting. Even though Nothing But Love was a big record, and you can tell that Uptown put that record out. When you listen to the skits, everybody with Heavy D tributes, and it kind of was like a reminding people who Heavy D was within the industry. I think Peaceful Journey is probably my favorite. And then, of course, I love the textures. I love the sonic textures of Blue Funk. But I would say collectively, if I'm looking at song for song, from a songwriting perspective, it probably is Blue Funk. In terms of him just straight rhyming, it would probably be Big Time. In terms of just like, just the dance element, the energy, that in terms of diversity with the music, it would be Nothing But Love. But if I had to, just pick one, it would be Peaceful Journey.
Okay. Stevie, what about
there's
you?
only two ways I can answer this. Like, if I was my clubbing days in my 20s, it would have been one of these two albums easily. When I was chasing girls in clubs and because it had all, all the girly rhymes and everything. It would have been one of these albums. But now, I'm a grown man with, you know, with the beard and everything. It's the Blue Funk album. Is that I'm playing it a lot, I just, you know, it's really stood the test of time. This for me, I thought it's some solid production on it, and you know, I just So it's hard. It's really hard to nail down because I don't know. Did he do one perfect album that you can listen to from start to finish? I don't think he did, because there's a few that I would skip on each album. So, like you say, the younger me, it's one of these two or both of them, but now it's this one. So that's my answer, if it makes any sense to you.
Okay. No, I mean, for me, as I said, it'll be Peaceful Journey. And when I first got, my dad gave me a portable CD player, a Sony portable CD player, and I went out and bought 5 CDs. Peaceful Journey. There was Born to Sin by Vogue. It was the Revival by Tony Tony. It was TLC TLC Tip, and it was the I think it was Dangerous. And those are the first 5 CDs that I was able to buy. But when I listened to that Peaceful Journey over and over again, so it is really special memories. And then because I was a massive Teddy fan, I loved Living Large. You know, just like, oh, he did this, he did that, and that's why I got to dedicate it. But Another Love was pretty much, you know, he really stepped up and almost said, okay, this is what was happening on the radio, and that Another Love really showcased that he was able to keep up. But yeah, for me, it would always be Big Time. That's a Peaceful Journey.
I found this yesterday in a charity shop. It's like my second CD copy. I have been played, and I thought whoever's had it previously has played it because it's got his, you know, but it was there for like 50 pence a pound. I thought, would you leave it in the shop for that price? You just don't see it. You don't see it in shops now. And I thought, for £1, I've got to buy this again. I don't know why. I just thought I'm leaving the shop with this again. And, you know, so I think that's my second CD. I've got a vinyl copy as well, but I haven't played my vinyl for years. But I like to have the vinyl for that Uptown label on it. So, yeah.
Okay.
Look at Heavy D is a special kind of artist. And when you look at that time, he comes out in 86. And let's say, man, like within the first 10 years of his career, he just really accomplished so much to where this guy, not only do you have the music, and then you have the features, but then you're doing television theme songs. You're acting in television. You know, when you look at this, what he was able to accomplish so much in the first 10 years of his career, you know, people don't really think about it, you know, because we kind of take it for granted when we look at how like rappers, the high profile image that they have, and we see Ludacris and the Fast and Furious and things of that nature, man. But when you look at so many different boundaries and so many different avenues that Heavy D tracked down, man, and never lost that credibility amongst his peers, because even when the music got aggressive, he still stayed the same. You know, he could dip and dab into that. And then when you add to the fact that he also became a record executive too, you know, he's an unsung artist, man. He's an unsung figure in music.
If any Universal Music people are even looking at this channel, are looking to, because I know albums get reissued. There's one track we've not mentioned tonight that they could put this as an idea. It could have been on this. It should have been on this album as a reissue, but they've already reissued this album on vinyl, on double vinyl. But if they're going to do a reissue of this, please add In Living Colour, the Eddie F theme tune that Heavy D did, that swing track. The New Jack, we all want that track. It's only about a 2 minute long theme tune, but it's a brilliant Eddie F production in it. You could reissue that and put that as a bonus unreleased track on it.
Yeah, man, this guy, he held his own. You're talking about like in the late 80s when rap was arguably the best rapper. Heavy D held his own in terms of putting out music, and then when the music went into a different age, you know, the West Coast is coming. You see the energy with the Tupac and just the whole different styles of rap. Heavy D is there, and he's holding his own, and people are loving him, man. And then to do records with Janet Jackson and to do records with Michael Jackson, that's super big, man. That they're looking for him to do this. You know, when you look at like how big Notorious B.I.G. was big within those first the 2 years of his career, 95 through 97. That's like Heavy D. Heavy D was doing all of that. I mean, he traveled a lot of spaces in that 2 year period, man. But when you look at what Heavy D was doing, man, people got to give him a lot of credit, man. So I'm glad you all came up with him as a top 10. I'm glad that you guys came up with him, man. I really do. I really am.
He's sorely missed. He's sorely missed. I think between our 3 top 10s, I think we got it. I think we got it all covered tonight. You know, I think we really have. You know,
I remember
from all his albums there. You know, Sheldon included tracks from his later years, which we didn't. So you got to, you know, he went that deep. So yeah, I think everything really's been covered tonight. Unless anybody out there wants to tell us, there's only one thing that I do know is there is a demo version of "Don't You Know" from the first album that's got the girl singing on it that never came out. But
wow,
you know, it's just a demo. If you heard it, you're like, yeah, and you know, it's just a demo, really.
Yeah, you know what? Because I remember Teddy in an interview mentioned how that came from the Kids at Work album.
Yeah,
and then Heavy said he wanted to use it, and Teddy was like, "Man, it was rubbish," and he's like, "No, let's use it." You know, so yeah, yeah. I mean, does anyone?
That was a good track. That was a good track.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I don't know, because we kind of went through this quite quickly today. You know, do we ask anyone for their own memories of Heavy D and the Boyz?
Yeah.
I know last week, as a few of you mentioned that you were either driving or in a garage or something like that. If you want to comment for a few seconds too, and if you feel brave enough. Here is the link here. Just log in and we'll get you in for a few minutes to give us to share your own, you know, either your favorite Heavy D and the Boyz album or your top 3 or 4 Heavy D and the Boyz tracks. See who's going to be brave enough this week to be able to come in. And so yeah, you may get 1 or 2 that may come through. I think it's a lot of pressure, you know. Sometimes it's easy watching to actually join in.
You threw that out as a bit of on the spot there. They might not be set up. Let's see, is anyone set up to come on? You sprung that on us there. You just sprung it on.
But I think just as we, you know, just reflecting on what we mentioned about Heavy D, it's just that you know, we forget about the remix he did for Candy Rain. You know? And actually, he took that from You Ain't Heard Nothing Yet.
Yeah, he did the whole rhyme, cadence, and everything. Yeah.
Not about that.
Yeah. That's, you know, it's a big track. There's No Lover Who's Got What You Need.
Oh yeah, that Dutch remix that was strong. That was strong.
Okay.
It was also on a Japanese MCA dance CD compilation with a lot of other MCA artists on as well, as I do remember. But that was a good remix. Very good remix. That's probably a better mix than I preferred that mix to the album mix. If I'm quite honest, I wasn't a big fan of the album mix because it had like a disco sample in it.
Yeah, but did you notice that Eddie F didn't do anything on Nothing But Love or on Blue Funk? Did it surprise
you? Until you mentioned it. Until he mentioned it. No.
Yeah, never really thought about it.
Yeah. So it you know, you're thinking you have Eddie F the producer and not doing any production most after the second album. So it just feels as if Heavy was in a different direction. So I don't know. It doesn't seem as if doesn't seem like people are up for coming on board tonight, which is okay, you know. In 2 weeks' time, we're doing our top 20 Blackstreet songs. So when I was putting the imagery together, I was thinking, which picture of the Blackstreet should I use? I was like, do you use the first group that had Joe Stosry? Do you use the second group that had Levi and David Hollister? Do you use the third group that had Eric Williams and Mark Milton? Or use the fourth group that had is it Phillips Terrell? Or do you use the current group that doesn't have Teddy? I'm like, okay, I'll just put the albums up there. So I just put the 4 albums that they came out with. At least that way you can be safe. But Blackstreet came out with 4 albums, so and they had some features, but it'll be from the albums. Forget all the I Get So Lonely, because that's not really their track. So I doubt if anyone wants to join us tonight. But just finally, reflections then on tonight's episodes. I'll start with you, Stevie.
Yeah, I'm just glad we got time to do this top 10, because I did kind of mention, didn't we, doing rappers. We could, let's not forget the New Jack rappers, because there was quite a few back then. And obviously Heavy D's like probably one of the most well-known one out of them. So yeah, good little tribute to the man. And like I say, he's very, very missed. I've missed him a lot.
Yeah. And I wonder. I think we do appreciate him. I don't think people are going to say that. I think because he was. Yeah, they always said he's the kind of rapper that you can let your parents listen to. But it was the fact that he just gave a persona of just being happy and fun. What about you, Sheldon?
With Heavy, man, one of the things is that at a time when you started seeing, rappers start to get a lot of commercial success, or they were really aspiring to do that, he was content. Because sometimes you have a lot of artists that you can look around and you can look at your peers and they might be selling more records. They have a higher profile. But with him, man, he was really content in the space that he was in. Like you both said, man, he just got a lot of love from, young rap fans, for adults, man. And he just covered so much ground in his career to go from, the rapper, and then there's the stage aspect of it. Then there's the executive aspect of it. Then there's the movies, and there's the TV. And he's also, if you know a record that Pete Rock and CL Smooth did, We Reminisce Over You, which was basically the last verse speaks to Trouble. And him and CL Smooth had got into a physical altercation, and it was Heavy D who was peacemaker. They got them back to where they were able to establish a friendship, and CL Smooth attributes Heavy D to look at rap music as a profession in terms of how you conduct yourself in public, how to always be clean cut, not to wear a lot of jewelry, how to make sure you have your nails done, your feet done, just, really where a lot of rappers were still had a lot of juvenile street energy tendencies and things of that nature. Heavy D looked at this like it was a profession, where a lot of other rappers kind of freestyled their careers. He took it very serious, man. He hired guys from his neighborhood and put them on tour with him. So there's a lot of different things. I listened to a Soul for Real interview, and they had some different comments, in terms of their experience with Heavy, but ultimately they also had a lot of respect for him in terms of signing him. So, I won't say underrated artist. I don't want to say unsung, but I would say he's been underappreciated as the decades have gone by. It's a tragedy that future artists will never know what it's like to experience a Heavy D in real time, because you can hear the music, but being in the era to experience him, it's a whole different type of situation. So like I said before, I'm glad that we covered him today, I'm glad you all came up with the idea to discuss his top 10. This is one of my most favorite episodes.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Oh, yeah, and I think for me, I think what kind of fills this up is the fact how much he appreciated winning the Soul Train Awards, because American Music Awards and the Grammys didn't nominate them or appreciate them, and he was like, my people, the Soul Trains, you guys really respect it. And then he used it later in one of his raps, who needs a Grammy when you got soul, because it is like, the people recognize and appreciated what we did. And unfortunately I didn't get to interview him because he passed in 2011, but talking to G Wiz about the challenges that they faced, talking to Eddie, and then if I wish you can listen to the interview with Monifa, how he saw her and gave her a chance, and she was like, how but their falling out was pretty much where Heavy wanted to continue to nurture and she wanted to go in a different direction, and how he stepped back and stuff and let her do her thing. So I know So For Real have a very different perspective about the industry, but everyone that comes in to the industry, if you don't, they have to understand there's a business side, and if you don't recognize that side, and you can't then hold the executive to task. So, but anyway, it's good that we were able to do this and honor somebody like Heavy D for what he stood for, and hopefully we can do something different next time. It's a pity we couldn't. And Phil said she tried to log in, but she was having issues logging in, and no one else wanted to join us tonight. So hopefully next time. We're off next week, but we're back on the 24th with our top 10 favorite Blackstreet tracks across their 4 albums, their remixes, and a lot. So it'll be interesting to do that. And then we'll look at other things. I had no idea it was daylight saving times in the US, so yeah, we'll have to sort out our timing by then. But anyway, guys, it's a pity we couldn't join in, but we'll give you guys another opportunity to join us next time. But for myself, Stevie, and Sheldon, we appreciate you guys joining in. Appreciate all the Blackstreet is on the 24th. Yeah, so appreciate you guys. The overweight love, yeah. No, it's just the fact that he could dance as well. So definitely appreciate everyone, and Mac and Marco and Phil and Chin Beats, everyone that really joined in. And I can just read the names that just posted right now. So if I forgot anyone, sorry about that. And then we'll be back in. We're back in 2 weeks' time. But anyway, we'll see you guys, and hopefully next time you guys can join in.
No comfort food Sunday next Sunday evening.
Oh. Yes, yeah. Well, you would have the Jeff Red interview. Yeah, they'll have Jeff Red and stuff, and yeah, there's so much. But anyway, we'll see you guys, and we'll be hitting you hard with some real good ones coming soon.